How you been doing?
It's all cycles, isn't it? I'm doing all right. I had a little bit of a wobbly period this afternoon. I put on Beast Games. Have you seen this? You seen Mr. Beast on his Amazon thing? He's got.
I heard of it.
It's season 2 Beast Games. He's basically got 100 people. I think it was 200 to begin with. 100 smart people, 100 strong people, and then they whittle them down over the course of 10 episodes to a top 10, and it eventually becomes one person that wins $5 million.
Yeah.
They're down to the top 10. I put it on this afternoon. I'm having my dinner, and I had no idea this was going to happen. But they bring in the families of the people that are left, and I just started crying, mate. My eyes started just leaking, and I was like, "Wait, why?" And I think it was like there's definitely an emotional thing to see all these other people, these contestants that have worked so hard to get to a certain point. They've had to go through like various trials, tribulations. They've had to also like, you know, fuck some of their friends over in the process because they're all aiming for the same thing, which is the prize fund. But seeing like people's kids and families coming on, because especially in a competition type environment where you're seeing, you know, individual characters being very independent and having to kind of fight for like everybody's fighting for something though, aren't they? And it's easy to dehumanize people when you only see them in the competition element. And then all of a sudden you see their grandparents and kids coming in and, you know, little 3-year-olds running up, "Daddy." And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's so real. Everyone's just doing this for their family. And I just started crying. I'm not gonna cry now, but I can feel it kind of building up in me again. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting one. Yeah, that was weird this afternoon, but I think I'm just emotionally, I feel like I'm on the edge, on the precipice of something, because I'm very able to kind of move in my managerial kind of sense of my, right, get this done, okay, you've got to do that, organize this, calendar that, block this out. But I feel like a lot of that side of me has maybe muted elements of my feeling state, which is really what helps me create the most or the best. So it's about balancing those two out. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not dealing with certain things because I've been trying to kind of manage so much of where I'm going that I've not tapped into the other side of that. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're suppressing maybe some of that, or is it coming out when you just...
I don't know. I guess I need to sit with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a minor thing. I mean, maybe it's not that minor, but I hadn't been meditating really that much. I've just been doing stuff. Like sometimes you get so caught up in the busyness of things and like feeling like, especially at the beginning of a new year, you know, wanting to set up, I kept thinking about like, right, I want to set up my best, like get myself in the best position for the rest of the year. So I'm like sending emails this way, that way, you know, just, and my mindset's that way as well. But then in your car a minute ago when we're doing the OMS, and he says to the girl, "You've not allowed yourself to be tired," it resonated. Because I'm so go that on the other side of that, maybe I'm just missing stuff because I'm not as emotionally in touch with what's going on around me or what's going on inside me, which is really what it is.
Well, it's just what it is. Did you feel like when you cry, do you feel like a certain level of release? Do you feel lighter afterwards? It's quite impressive what crying does, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad what it is.
Yeah, but for men, it's not accepted. Like if you're a guy and you cry, most people like, you're not supposed to. And the thing is with us as men as well, we're like kind of cursed and blessed with this ability to power through our emotions. Mm-hmm. For females, that's much more difficult. They're more emotional creatures. I know this from my own experience, but there's also some scientific validation that they're just much better at releasing their emotions. But for us, we can swallow them. We're good at that. But the problem is being good at that comes at the price of suppressing emotions a lot of time.
Yeah.
I know this, bro, from my own experience. And then all of a sudden when you cry, it almost feels like you come out and you lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds off your shoulder. It's allowing yourself to do it. There's even some stuff like crying therapy. I don't know if you've seen that before. I've done that in 2020, and it really, really helped. I was going through a really difficult time in 2020. And there was this guy on YouTube who does it where you essentially look at pictures that are significant to you, that evoke emotion, and then you couple that with music that is you have a strong emotional connection to. For me, it was Arrival of the Birds, cinematic orchestra.
Yes, you sent me this before. What an absolute banger of a track.
What a track. What a song.
Yeah.
I think for me, might be the best song ever created. And I'm saying this now, I think almost 15 years later. It hasn't changed. That with looking at pictures of my grandmother, because by that time I couldn't travel. I was kind of stuck, COVID. Dude, that release was better than any kind of therapy that I went through at that time. It was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
But it's doing that. It feels kind of weird, man. Especially as a strong guy, it feels weird.
Was that so? It's funny that you say that. I know where you come from when you're like, we were supposed to swallow our emotions and feel it.
I'm not saying we're supposed to. We have the ability to.
I know, but I mean, in terms of like, I hear that's the kind of masculine way. You know, you're supposed to kind of figure it out. And we've chatted about this a bunch. But do you feel that way, or do you now have a different view on that?
I absolutely don't feel that way. I think it's the right thing to bring those emotions out.
Well, sometimes you can't even. Sometimes you don't control that, though. It's not like you don't get to go, right, I'm going to have a cry now.
Yeah.
It just comes in some weird situation. Sometimes completely unexpected, just catches you off guard, and all of a sudden, and I can sense it as well. Sometimes when I'm talking to someone, and I have to kind of.
I know that.
Hold it back a little bit. You've seen me do that a couple of times.
Oh, you're much more emotional when it comes to that. Or I don't know if you're more emotional than me, but you show it more. I think I'm very emotional, but I don't show it as much. I overwrite that, which is not a good thing. I think what you're doing is much better thing in terms of, when I say better, in terms of health, because you're letting that out. That's emotion, energy that needs to come out. The way I look at emotion is energy. And I see that with a lot of people that eat up their emotion, they bottle them up. Emotion is moving energy, and moving energy creates. So if you don't let it out to create a situation outwardly, like when you have tears coming up, you're releasing emotion. So you're recreating, or you're creating a new situation in that moment. Because I'm going to see that, react to it, and we create a new environment in that moment that you do it. It's a form of communication as well. It's actually the strongest non-verbal form of communication. It's crying, because it's like, look at me. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. But communally, it's signaling that you need adherence. Someone should look at you. That's evolutionary what crying is. But if you don't do that, you're bottling up that emotion. That emotion still creates, but now it's creating internally. That's why it's important to do it. But for me, it was difficult in the beginning because, I don't know, man. It's like I'm good at swallowing it. I can overwrite that a lot. Know how to deal with that, but then it bottles up, and it feels like you're carrying a brick in your stomach.
Yeah, but it always comes out at some point, though, doesn't it? Eventually, it just boils over.
Either it comes out, or it comes out as a disease. So you want to avoid that.
Yeah,
bro. It's like, but the thing is, it's you have a lot of voices online. There's kind of like the strong alpha male, masculine guys who are like, it's not for men. You power through. That's how life is. Life is rough.
That's the hustle culture again, isn't it? It's the
hustle culture. Yeah. I think the hustle culture is like with every extreme, because the universe is not about extreme, it's about balance and synchronicity. That's why you see every extreme ultimately being counterbalanced with the opposite extreme in order to meet the middle again. You see that with yourself. The more you push for something of the opposite manifests itself, so you're centered. But you also see that societally, like the more progressive society becomes, the more it goes the other way, and it's trying to balance in the middle again. The more you have like this left-wing progressiveness, you have the people that become more right-wing, the balance again. And I think once I realized that, there is a beauty of finding the middle between the polar opposites. And sometimes when, let's say, you hustle very hard, it's a nice thing to balance that out, maybe with that feminine softness, and maybe with adhering to your emotions, like you say.
Yeah,
it's important.
There's a fella I follow on Instagram. His name's Abundance 1000 or something like that. He speaks a lot of sense. He's been talking about masculine and feminine energies, and he's saying that a lot of the fake guru type stuff is men that are trying to skip the lower chakras and just go straight up to the feminine energy, and then come back down without having sat with it, without having integrated it. and I was like, this sounds like a lot of the certainly, and I've experienced that myself too, where I've kind of tried to kind of jump a few levels or get a feeling without having earned it, if that makes much sense to you.
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example off the top of my head. Just trying to fool myself rather than actually kind of dealing with or facing certain things to try and like skip a few levels. We've chatted about it with Dodson and his energy levels before about it's a progress thing. You know, you don't get to go from 10 kilogram weights to 80 kilogram weights. That doesn't happen from skipping straight up. You have to build to it. And the same goes for upgrading your life. The same goes for increasing your ability to deal with situations. You have to go through a process of minor breaks and tears, making you stronger as you go. And of course, life happens sometimes too. So you get a big tear and you have to deal with it. But hopefully, if you've dealt with certain things before and you've kind of prepared yourself a little bit, it becomes easier to deal with larger things when they happen. But I'm not sure why I brought that guy up. I guess just because his stuff is kind of resonating with me at the moment, or it feels kind of relevant. I guess because skipping through or feeling that you can just jump from one stage to another doesn't again, it comes back down to balance.
The thing you're talking about really begs the question of why people skip that step, and why a lot of these, specifically your example, these spiritual gurus, the ones that grand rising and bleach their butts in the sun, like those types of people that preach self-improvement and all of that stuff, why they do that and why they skip that part of earthly desire is, to me, just another form of ego. It's just disguised a different way, because it's like, look, all of that earthly stuff that people want to do and these desires and this attachment is all bullshit. So I'm going to skip all of that, and I'm going to just tell you that life is not about that, without ever having accomplished anything that is in that realm. They're saying
it's like
you can say that once you're there, and once you've ticked that off because you've experienced that, and then you realize that that's not the truth. Why can you say it then? Because then you're not saying it based on the ego. You're not saying that, oh, I'm better than these desires, so I just skip them. It's like, no, you did it, and you realize that it's not the end game. It's not bringing you necessarily what you thought.
So I agree totally. Yeah. I think this is a little bit like when we're chatting about the desire for a car or a house or whatever the material thing is, whatever the thing is. But then you can also make that thing your mind. And if you end up in that zone, it can get very tricky to figure out what's what. Because again, your ego is going to always be there, making you think that you're figuring it out, or that you know best, or whatever you want to say. The universe is mental, so that means I can figure it out in my mind. You're locked in that zone again. Then you got to let go of that. You're not going to know it all. Knowledge isn't necessarily always power. Like you can't. The Gnostics haven't necessarily got it right. I don't think it's a blend, always a blend. It's the three. And the third part, like we chatted about last week, the spirit, can't really be defined as well. That's about acceptance. That's about surrender. That's about allowing. That's the water. That's the crying part. It's the flowing part of you. You have to just accept that, some stuff you're not going to be able to figure out. You're not going to be able to understand all of we're in the age of information, but you're not going to be able to process it all. Certain stuff just is, you're going to figure it out as it happens. And your best bet is to kind of, well, we've said this before, but like try and remain as neutral as possible. Hard to do, because we're emotional creatures.
We're emotional creatures, and also we're creatures that put a lot of emphasis on our rational planning and on our intellect and our IQ. So when things don't go our way, the first thing is like, no, but it needs to be going that way. And you're kind of going through a situation like this now, where actually you're in a process where you actually need to surrender, because your work circumstance may change in the future. And there is a certain part where your intelligence is trying to figure out what to do next, and maybe even tries to hold on to the way things were. Maybe I should have changed things differently. Maybe I need to be pushing more. But there is a part here where you actually need to practice what you preach.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So how do you deal with that when like a thought or a doubt comes in, or like, I should have done it like this, or I need to be doing like this? How do you go from that to finding that center again?
I had this, well, meditation is going to be one of the main things, because I get a lot of my moments of ahas in there while I'm sitting with myself and while I'm accepting that the intrusive thoughts can come in. And I was thinking today, I was laying there, some thoughts were coming through, and I was like, it's interesting, like just trying to watch these come by. And now, because I'm more emotionally, I don't know, sensitive, I noticed myself trying to identify or attach things to them. But the phrase that came to mind when the intrusive thought came through was to allow it and to turn it from an intrusive thought to an inclusive thought. And again, I'm identifying when I do that, aren't I? Mm-hmm. But the feeling of being able to transmute that and to take the energy and to say, you know what, I don't accept that thought. I'm going to make it an inclusive thought, one that actually makes me feel good, not that is a kind of me being like, you know, you should have done this or that, or what if you'd have. I don't want to go into those areas.
What was a thought, for example, that you had, and how did you transform it? Like, what was the conversation you had in that moment when that
I don't know, I snipped it. I can't even remember what it specifically was. It wasn't like one particular specific thought. It was just, I noticed intrusive thoughts or, you know, nasty, devilly kind of voices coming through. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not gonna allow that to be the way that my meditation's going today. I'm having a nice, calm, peaceful meditation. So it was me taking or noticing the intrusiveness of that and changing it to inclusive.
Mm-hmm. And you did that by becoming aware of it, stopping it, and then not reframing, because you didn't really work with that thought. You just overrode it, making a choice saying that we're not having that today. You just made a decision, essentially.
Yes, basically.
So it's awareness and decision making in that moment.
This is also another thing, because we're saying we try and intellect our way in or out of things, right? We're using our intelligence because we've got the capacity to do that. Everyone's got the capacity with their brains to figure stuff out. Like we're solution.
At least we think so.
Well, we're solution people, though. Like the evolution has proved that we have to come up with solutions to things. But science shows, and studies have shown, that belief in yourself is going to overwrite talent or intellect every time. So it's belief in yourself. It's belief in yourself or the higher power that it's going to be all good. Just got to carry on moving forward. Despite the things and the turmoil or the chaos that's happening in the world around me, have to keep believing that it's going to be good. I just got to keep moving forwards and have faith in myself. I've been here before. I've had troubles before. I've tripped up. There's always going to be obstacles. How do I deal with that? As neutrally as possible, as emotionally regulated as possible. Can I control those things? Yes. Okay, restart. It's kind of like a little pattern that I go through. Go through this step, go through that step, okay, back to the beginning, start again. And then just keep moving forward, one step. Some days I'm going to have more steps than others. Mm-hmm. But I've got it, and some days I may not move. Some days I sit down and I have a hard day.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, what's the other choice?
Well, the other choice is beating yourself up.
I beat myself up, or I go into a spiral of fucking myself up. Thank you, not going to do that.
Yeah, which is an option that a lot of people go through still. Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends warned me of this the other day on the phone to me. He's like, I know where you're at. Just want to make sure this is happening. He goes, I want you to just know that everything's going to be okay and don't spin. And I'm like, it's funny that you say that. I'm currently not at that point. I believe and I feel sure that it's all good as long as I keep moving forward. I have to just keep having momentum.
Mm-hmm. And but having faith, leaning into that part of it as well.
Yeah.
Like aligning your moving forward, your actions with the knowledge of you're taken care of.
Yeah.
There's
well, it's the assurance of hope, isn't it?
Yes, faith, exactly. Yeah, faith.
So
faith is the assurance of the things hoped for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Assurance of the things hoped for.
Yeah.
Assurance is so 100%. It's the being thereof. not the hoping of or the believing of or the thinking of. It's the knowing thereof, the 100% conviction thereof. What is conviction? It's not a thing to do. It's a thing to be. You are convinced.
That's the tricky part again, because it comes back down to then the thoughts come in.
Exactly.
And you've got to go, wait, no. That's old me.
Yeah.
Or that's old. That's 3 years ago me trying to bring me back to where I was. I'm not there now. I'm just dealing with something in a different way. It's funny. It's like I'm on a different timeline, but I know that I can put myself back in the right direction as long as I'm facing the right direction. Like that's it. Because otherwise you can be looking over your shoulder thinking about the past, getting worried about it, or again, like giving yourself shit about it. You could have done different. You should have done this. But it's tricky. You spend days ruminating in these places. It's no good.
I think we all do. And it's not necessarily beating yourself up over that. It's how long are you staying off the path. And the quicker you're able to recenter yourself, the easier it will be and the better it will be for you to not even think about, oh, man, I'm back there in this situation now. I'm like back to my old self. Because if you beat yourself up over the fact that you're there again, you're doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing, because you're going to be there in a place of doubt. You can't just say, I want to avoid doubt at all costs, because that's an attachment to avoiding doubt, which again is going to create the exact opposite of it, because you're placing your attention on not wanting it. It's like ordering a menu in a different language. Let's say you're in France and you don't speak French, and you're telling the guy on the menu, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. The guy's like, yeah, brings you exactly the thing on the menu. You can think about that when it comes to thoughts, and when it comes to the things you try to avoid. You're still expending energy on saying, I don't want that. It's not about that. It's about realizing once that happens and being okay with the fact that it happens and recentering your attention on where you want it to be. It's just the recentering of the attention. You have to be very focused on what you place your attention on. And then the slip up is quicker. It doesn't turn, like you said, into that spiral. And we're kind of evolutionarily primed to entertain negative thoughts. And we spoke about this on the podcast before, because we are more primed to
loss aversion
than to gain sensitivity. And the reason for that is that as physical vessels, there is a downside, a finite downside to life, but there is not a finite upside to life. And that finite downside is death. So everything is sort of evaluated from that perspective of death. There is a finite endpoint you can fall to. That's why you're more sensitive to the thing that could happen that moves you closer to that endpoint. And once you understand that and you realize that because of that, you're going to have those thoughts, you can think about your thoughts in a different manner, because now you understand why it happens. And then when that happens, like, oh, it's normal that it happens. It's happening because of that. I'm primed this way. But I'm something that's also beyond that. That's why you're doomed. If you only believe in evolution and in materialism, then you don't have an out. That's why faith is correlated, like you said. You said self-belief. Self-belief is, by the way, there's something called self-efficacy theory. It's a psychological theory that's correlated with a lot of positive outcomes in terms of life satisfaction, in terms of test scores, in terms of ability to earn. But faith, religious faith, is also correlated essentially with the same variables, because you can break out of that evolutionary pattern. And you can say, yeah, I am primed to think of that, loss aversion, I could die, but there's something transcendental that gives you that freedom, gives you wings.
Yeah.
And only then can you assure the things hoped for. Because otherwise you can't. Otherwise you're dependent on your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, bro. Kind of like, it's not self-sabotage to self-mastery, really, is it? It's the option, because I could go into self-sabotage mode. That's just going to put me backwards. It's going to literally put me in reverse. I know that there's plenty of people that, and I have been this guy, like I feel like I'm going through, I've said this before as well, they're kind of like, you know, when you go through the same sorts of situations multiple times, and you keep having the kind of deja vu kind of feeling of that while while you haven't dealt with certain elements of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps there's something in that I need to address. Not in a, again, careful to not be too ruminating in the past kind of thing, and more about visually and feeling, having the feeling state of where I'm at right now, and being like, right, what are the things that are still needing a little bit of care? What are the things that I can do to help myself be better equipped as I move forward? They're the things I need to kind of deal with. But I don't get to those by thinking myself too hard into them. Otherwise, I go back into the overthinking area as well.
Yeah.
I have to feel those things.
Yeah. And you have to, I think you're breaking it down to the basics, which is the choice that you're going to move ahead, the choice that you're not going to, it's simple, but it's so difficult at the same time too, because you need to declare to yourself that independent of what you've done in the past, you're now choosing to do something different, but that entity of the past is always still trying to pull you back to a certain degree. So you need to sever that tie somehow.
But also I have to love that version of myself that brought me to here. That's how I sever it. I think that's how you sever it. I think because, again, the more you trying to resist that, it will actually come and attach to you more. So I think part of it is the acknowledgement thereof and the redirection of focus and attention to the version of self that you tell yourself to be. But for that, you need to know what that entity was comprised of and why it led to the outcome that it led to, right? So there is a part of you, like you said, that is repeating a certain pattern. So the first thing is to figure out like what it is. What is it that keeps repeating that pattern? And the second thing is being okay with that and then redirecting the focus. I think the being okay with it and not acknowledging it while being okay with it, I think is the art. It's very easy to be acknowledging it, but then hating it and like trying to break it. It's like, I'm not that. Yeah, I'm not that person anymore.
But being okay with it and acknowledging it, that's the art. Because every time you try to resist something, it's kind of like what I learned from myself. I don't know if you've noticed that in yourself. Resistance and over-importance on something seem to be the things that never work. The more you resist something, it almost is hunting you. The more you place over-importance on something, the more it's running away from you.
Yeah.
It's kind of these two things. And if we can navigate in a more centered way, I think we're good. And that means not resisting it, accepting it whilst moving forward.
Yeah, this is absolutely me. This is avoidant tendency. I told you one of the greatest books I ever read was Surrender Experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the title there as well. It's the title of my best performing song. It's the title of my favorite book, Surrender Experiment, Let Go. It's littered all the way through my life. It's in all my notes in my journal. I have to keep reminding myself to allow things to just be.
Yeah.
It's wild. Again, it's part of the control thing. It's wanting things to be the way I've decided them to be. And if that kind of veers off track, I feel like I'm losing. I start to then doubt where I am in my life. Like, did I even mean to be here? Like, is this the right thing for me? Should I be trying to find a job in London? Should I be moving somewhere else? Should I be, all of those things start to crowd in on, and you lose focus of where you were even at. Like, all of the self-doubt stuff comes through, or starts bubbling up. Like, it's still within me. And I have to then just sit there and remind myself, no, you're here for this. This is what you brought yourself to this point for this reason. And I have to believe that too. I have to believe that I brought myself to this point so that I can overcome this hurdle. Mm-hmm. So rock and roll, like bring it on. Like, what is next? Then I have to, that's the kind of mindset I'm coming with at the moment. It's like I'm here for that purpose. I've got to jump this hurdle.
Mm-hmm. And it's doing that whilst knowing that inner child or that old version of you that is afraid or doubting still exists, which is a weird thing to say, because I know this. I give you my own example, and then maybe we can talk about yours because I'm curious how that applies to you. But see, when I grew up in Germany and I was kind of like 17, 18, I developed this very strong ego that helped me to be good in school, play good soccer, move to the States, get good grades, get a good job. Like, it was all ego. It was like, oh, I'll be strong and I'll just break through everything. It really was useful for me. It was because I grew up with all these Kennex in Germany.
I think again, because it came because you didn't have things handed to you.
No,
you had to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Also,
your own way.
Yeah, my environment was like that. All my friends were like that. I didn't know any other way. The friends that I had were all kids that came from working class, whose parents came after the World War, and they were like kind of like the first or second generation in Germany. It was kind of rougher. The place I'm from, most people are lower SES, socioeconomic status. So I was raised in that environment, and it helped me. But then when I came here, and especially the last few years, where I realized how that ego version of myself, that very strong version that wants to bend reality, like I always say, only got me to a certain point, but not beyond that. There was something beyond that I wasn't able to unlock as long as I was holding on to it. So because then I told myself, I don't want to hold on to that anymore, and I want to become a version that is more relaxed, more at peace, that practices stuff like meditation, that tries to develop their mind, that becomes more self-observant, that learns about religion. The more I was identified with that new version of self, the more I was afraid. That other version of myself didn't disappear. It was still in the back of my head. But I was afraid to invite that one back in, because I was like, if I invite that one back in, I'm moving away from this new version of self.
Dude, this is fact.
Bro.
I've been like this too.
Yeah, and so there is this part of me that was trying to reject, but it was still there, but it's still trying to reject. And I noticed and learned, bro, the real integration and the real step forward is to acknowledge that thing still exists and that you can still dance with it.
Yeah.
The moment you realize you can still dance with it, you've learned how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. You're not rejecting it. You're not fully integrating it into you. You're learning that this is still part of you, but that is okay. You're not afraid of it. It's not something that's going to break your character and move you out of the version of self that you decided to be. And that's the moment when you're okay with it.
I fucking agree. Sorry. Yeah, it's I kept thinking of the word shadow, but like it's some sort of shadow work, I guess you would call it, if you want to talk the guru language. But it's basically that, because otherwise you're not accepting that you're whole. You're ignoring parts of yourself because you've deemed them to be less than what you currently want to be. But that's still you. Yeah. And it was still me. And I was exactly the same as this, because I came through a period where I guess my overconfidence and to some degree some of my arrogance came through, and I realized how selfish I'd been in certain situations, and so I wanted to distance myself as much as possible from that. I realized how disagreeable I could be, so I wanted to work on those elements and become more understanding, more open, XYZ. So anything that related back to that part of me, that fighty competitive side of me, felt like a step backwards in the wrong direction. Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm concentrating on this open-minded spiritual version of myself. But again, that's me fooling myself if I'm ignoring here.
1,000%.
It's like this is like breaking me apart into two pieces, then coming back and realizing, look, but you've got to accept both. You can't move on without that.
Well, the cool thing is once you accept that part and you are okay with a small salsa with that part of you, and then you're letting it go again, what you're actually declaring subconsciously, that you're something that transcends that part or the new part. You're something that's beyond both of those.
Yeah.
That gives you a certain level of confidence, peace, and faith as well. And it reminds me of the story that you told me about your New Year's resolution 2025 when you wanted to stop drinking. Mm-hmm. It's like you stop drinking, but that part of you still exists. And I now, when I think about it from this perspective, actually, after 5, 6, 7 months, I think it was when you started drinking again, if you can start drinking without fearing that part is now completely violating and demolishing the new version of you, that's when you actually learned to deal with it. That's actually when you leveled up. It's not when you're keeping it there in the corner because you're so afraid of it. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's like you're just trying to resist it. But the moment when you drink and you're like, yeah, but I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'll go back to not drinking. That's the moment you invited that old version back, but it doesn't have the power over you anymore, which means that you leveled up. It tells you that you are in control. It tells you that you are in charge. And I think that's the reality with all shadows. It's that part of you that is there and it's existing within you. And the more you can deal with it rather than reject it, I think the freer you'll feel.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm trying to strong arm myself.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. I'm never going to be able to do that. I was worried, I guess, because I was thinking, again, it's the control thing. And there was a kind of, I guess, a fear of like, oh, if we let that version back in, he might have control again.
Yes.
But it's like, I don't know. That's the kind of. Whenever I say shadow, I always think of the devil as well. I'm making these like connections in my head but they may not be helping me at all. Like, we've all got a little bit of darkness in us.
Of course.
It's accepting that and choosing to not activate it, which gives you the strength and the power to move in the right direction. But you can't do that if you're pretending that it doesn't exist, or if you've put it in a cage somewhere and you're just trying to ignore it. That doesn't work either.
Well, and you said choosing to activate it. In my case, it's just acknowledging that it is activated. That in itself, the acknowledgement thereof, it gives me awareness over it. That's already enough. And the letting go of it or the stopping of it almost happens organically. Awareness in itself without having to do anything beyond that is so strong, because it allows you to sever a lot of ties without having to do anything else but observing it. So when you observe it, you de-identify with the state. When you de-identify it with the state, you don't necessarily have to do the reframing anymore, the rejection of it anymore, the suppression of it anymore. It almost severs that tie organically. That's why awareness is the fundamental principle beyond all reality creation, beyond of spirituality. It's awareness. It's what the focus is on. When you can focus your focus on the thing that is in front of you, then you are not the thing in front of you.
That's a lot of work for me to do at the moment, but it's the good type of work.
Well, it's
go on.
Isn't what you're going through right now quite literally the practice of spirituality? You're practicing to be still and in faith despite life being difficult. It's literally it's the core, it's the foundation of faith.
Yeah, and the foundation of faith is also that it will constantly be tested.
Yes.
This is where you forge stronger faith, is to know that it is done and it's all good. You carry on. Yeah, and it's literally the like slogan of Britain as well. Keep calm and carry on. That's what they say. I think it was from the war as well. Have you seen that? Have you seen that slogan before?
No.
It's like a little crown. It says, keep calm and carry on.
Calm. Yeah, it's what it is. And you speak a lot about the surrender experiment.
Bro, it's an absolutely tremendous book. I can't believe I've not even read the precursor to that, which is the Untethered Soul.
Okay.
But I have the cards. I turn a new card over. It got like 52 cards in a little deck, and I turn one over each Sunday, and it always reminds me of something else. So it's like, oh yeah, I've said a bunch of them on this podcast before to you. Like the best you've ever felt was due to how open you were. The banger. It's like to know that you aren't your thoughts. You're beyond. You're not even the thinker of them. You're the one observing that. It's just the guy is absolutely lit. He's so lit. I might have to reread it. Honestly, it's one of those situations where, you know, sometimes and I've got apps as well, like in the motivation app, and it comes up and it says something, and sometimes those things come up with a little reminder, and it's just what you need to go, oh yeah, of course it is, yes. I know that. Thank you. Sometimes you need just a little reminder.
When do you think you can get to the point where you don't need any of that?
When I'm living more truthfully, I guess. When I've embodied it more.
That applies to both of us, by the way.
Yeah.
When do we stop needing a book to tell us we're okay? When do we stop needing the app telling us that is okay?
Bro, and I'm so good at delving this out to other people.
We all
delving is
are.
not the right word,
Yeah.
but yeah, a friend of mine on her Instagram said, plug your dreams into ChatGPT and thank me later. And I was like, what about plugging your dreams into yourself and thanking your future self later?
Good
She's
response.
like, but I wasn't trying to shoot her down, but I'm also trying to remind her that you're going to get confirmation bias from your AI, chat robot that's set up to respond to you with the way that it's like, whatever, fair enough. If you get a nice little tickle from that and it makes you feel good about yourself, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but the overall thing is that we need to be that way with ourselves, which comes back to the thing that I said earlier. It's that the belief in yourself is going to override your ability to intellectualize it or understand what the situation is, because sometimes you just can't understand why. Otherwise you're going to be like, dude, nasty shit's going on in the world all the time. People are in way, way worse situations than I am, or we are. They're dealing with it. You just got to carry on. You just got to carry on and believe that it's going to be good. And that's really it.
Yeah, that's where your faith comes, I think, is paramount. That knowing that everything is good is very difficult to accept if all you believe in is the material world. Because if all you believe in is the material world, you're going to try and use material things, including your body and your brain, to dissect whatever issue it is you have. But if you believe in something beyond that, something outside of you, you are able to outsource your issues to the divine.
So yeah, maybe it feels a little bit like that. But then maybe that's what people are doing. Maybe that's what a nihilist or an atheist is doing in their head anyway.
Maybe
but they rationalize it in some way that we can't understand, because we do believe in a grander wholeness of everything coming from some source or whatever. But if you're somebody that just believes that at the end of it, it's done, off you go. We come into the world with nothing, we leave with nothing, and we're just here for this period. Like perhaps that helps them deal and cope and succeed in the way that
it could. Yeah, I don't think religion is necessary. I think religion is helpful because, again, it allows you to kind of have this feeling of being okay and knowing that things will be okay. And it kind of takes that burden away from you as an individual. But I think even in atheism or nihilism, it comes down to being centered in your belief more than the belief in itself. If you can be okay with your belief, and if it allows you to navigate through the storm calmly, it serves its purpose in a similar way, just differently. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people that do not believe in anything outside of themselves and outside of this physical world, they have difficulty navigating the storm calmly. It's quite rare that I see that. I don't even know if I ever saw that. But you see that a lot with religious people. They're able to remain somewhat at peace, at least, when life is crazy. Like you're talking, their kids getting sick, their partners getting sick, them losing their job, like themselves. Like it's crazy how you see faith playing, it's like real faith playing itself out when life hits. And I think I wrote this down on my phone the other day, your degree of faith is reflected in you abiding in peace amidst external turbulences. You can see how much faith you really have.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know if I'm really emitting much peace feeling at the moment. I don't know whether I put it on to some degree. that I'm doing all right. You know, sometimes when you see, you know, like it's almost going back to we're going to swallow it down and just get on with things. Sometimes I don't want to go into the conversation with people about how I'm feeling. So I'll just, and someone will say, oh, you know, how you doing? And rather than me opening up about that or getting vulnerable about it, I'm just like, yeah, all good. But am I putting like a Band-Aid over that and trying to ignore it? Or is that just my way of, and then I'm like asking you, like, tell me, psychoanalyze me.
Well, I think, are you doing this with everyone or just with people that you see in the elevator?
I'm doing it with people in the coffee room and stuff.
I
don't want to
kind of
do
this
conversation with them.
Exactly,
I'm listening to the Bible.
So there's a usefulness to being able to have small talk.
You don't have to have that conversation with
everyone. Yeah, exactly.
You keep that with your circle.
To me, certainly, if I ask you, are you okay? You're going to give me a different response, a more in-depth response, or with some of your other friends. But I just think that it's you being honest, whether you want to have that conversation with the person and whether you're just shrugging it off or whether it's genuinely just a small talk where you're like, yeah, man, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I certainly don't respond to like the deeper questions in a lot of depth when I'm in the sauna. It depends on who I'm sitting with.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they ask you questions, but they don't really ask you questions because as soon as you start responding, they speak over you.
Yeah. People just want to talk about their opinions on stuff, don't they?
A lot of people are lonely, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not listened to, and all they do is ask a question to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And you let them speak. You let them speak. You know, you can't fathom how many questions I get on diet and supplements.
That's that.
Bro, and I start like, okay, let me tell this guy what he can do. What's your breakfast like? What do you eat? Okay, so you should be doing, yeah, but then for dinner I eat like that, and then he just overwrites, like he just kind of speaks over me. I'm like, all right, he just wants to tell me what he's eating.
Yeah,
Cool, bro. Yeah, you're good then. It's kind of like that. That's also going with the flow though. I feel back in the day I would try to freaking.
It is for you, yeah. No, yeah. I'm similar. And I see a lot of people, and I wanna say something, but I also know that there's no point sometimes.
Yeah, I also learned that every word you're uttering that is not received and perceived by the other person is devaluing your word.
Meaning what?
Meaning if I speak and the other person is
devaluing your word to who?
It's just devaluing my word. If I have something
to yourself?
Yeah. If I have something if I say something in order to, let's say, respond to someone, but that person is not listening to it, then I stop speaking.
Fair, but you don't put that on you, do you? You're not like, no. I'm not delivering that the right way.
No, but if I keep saying it and I'm like, oh, let me convince this guy so he's more interested in what I'm saying, I'm actually devaluing what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because if I'm actually, again, centered in what I'm saying, if I see that there is no reception for it, I'm like, cool. The more I need to kind of like get my point across, I think the more I'm holding on to being right, and probably the more doubt I have about what I'm saying. So that's something that I've been practicing because it quite happens a lot daily if you think about it. You're actually saying stuff and the other person in front of you is not fully there, or it's kind of like maybe on the phone. I have some friends that are always on the phone.
Dude, that drives me up
like,
the wall.
bro, I'm not just speaking for the sake of speaking, actually.
Yeah.
I'm very careful
so you just stop and wait? Dude, it drives me up the wall when I'm talking to someone and they just pull their phone out in the middle of it. I'm just like, okay, it's not like I'm trying to, I don't need someone's 100% attention, but I just, I don't know, man. Just gets on my tits.
Yeah, I think it gets less on my tits now because everything is kind of me staying true to myself and to my energy, to my frequency, whatever you want to call it.
So you just like shrug it?
Yeah, but not in an egotistical way, because sometimes it may bother you in the moment, but then it's kind of like zapping out of that again, just not staying with that. Like realizing, oh, maybe I'm a little bit annoyed, but cool, I'm good. And then you recenter again. It's less about pretending to be for me. I don't want to do that either. It's kind of the fact of actually being okay with it.
You just notice it and you go, oh, okay, I was trying too hard there.
And he's on his phone, like he's literally texting, and I'm like,
all good.
Yeah, the word I'm speaking is not that serious, It's words. It's all good. It's kind of like, because otherwise his ego is like, I have something to say and he's not listening. His fault. You know, I don't want to fall into that habit either.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So it's kind of just like, it just is, bro. It just is.
It always just is, isn't it?
Yeah, it just is. But then I have conversations with you where we're listening attentively to every word, right? Different conversation, different situation, different bond, different relationship with each other. Again, like you say, is.
Yeah, I wonder if that's because I have a level of trust for you and I believe that you have my best interests at heart, whereas some of the small talk, or at least more surface level chat, or you maybe haven't reached the level where, you know, you haven't reached a deeper level with so-and-so person in the sauna, for example. You know, they're just asking you stuff because they look at you and they think, all right, he's got 12 abs. Let me ask him about his diet. But really what they want to do is just tell you about themselves.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to talk about themselves.
That's so true.
It's like,
Feels good.
Feels good, yeah.
Feels good.
They suggest that in dates, like on a first date, that you get your date to talk as much about themselves as possible, because afterwards when they leave, they'll feel good about themselves because they shared so much about themselves. So that's a suggested.
My brother, you're reading a lot of pickup artistry here.
Not for the purpose of that, but I noticed that I'm like that generally. Generally, I don't like to be the one who's doing the monologues. I like to kind of push it into other people's courts and let them express themselves. And then I'm just trying to listen as intently as I can. And I believe that there's always a lesson in whoever it is, whether it's someone that I'm really like admiring, or whether it's someone that I bumped into, or like, again, this is the thing that we chatted about last week, when sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to have this conversation now. I'm trying to do my thing. But the conversation's arrived in your consciousness for a reason. If you can be as present as possible in it, there could be a nugget there. And most of the time, example is the guy I was talking about when we were walking in here today. Like, I wouldn't have even had that connection if I hadn't have been in a jubbly kind of mood to be like, oh, dude, so-and-so. But you don't know where those conversations lead, or how you make people feel if you're so in your own head. Like, sometimes you just got to get out your own head. Most of the time you got to get out your own head. Out your head and into your heart.
Easier said than done.
Of course. But that's what we practice every week.
Well, I think, you see, when you speak about the pickup artistry, like, you should have the girl say more on the first date.
By the way, this is not a pickup artistry thing.
Whatever that is, bro. And I hear people saying that. It's kind of all the same thing. It's like, if you want to get that chick, you ask these types of questions, and like, there's all these formulas to doing stuff, right? I think what you said afterwards was way more productive, which is, I'm just that naturally. And the question I would ask to anyone who needs to ask these questions consciously to make that other person speak is like, why are you having to follow that script? Why are you not naturally like that? And I've been there, and the reason is because you want to present yourself. You want to present the strongest case for yourself. And the more you need to do that, the more you're trying to sell something that you're not fully convinced of yourself, which is yourself. And so really, that's why when you say you should become the person that you're wanting to attract, it's precisely that. To become the person you want to attract, you will have to be secure to a certain degree, at least. There's always going to be insecurities, but you're going to be secure enough to you getting to a point where you're sitting across the person. And now it's not about selling your package anymore. Pause. It's actually about asking that other person. You're automatically more interested in that other person. But that step from moving from selling yourself and advertising yourself to being there is a transformational process. And that then when people sell these scripts, and you should be doing that, is like, what you actually should be doing is becoming that and not playing that script. Playing that script is the action realm. I'm going to do stuff with my hands, with my mouth. I'm going to do these things that cause the outcome, rather than transforming yourself and then having the world change as a result of that. Those are two different strategies. One is directly accessible, but it requires you to play a persona to a certain degree.
Yeah, one's acting, one's you're playing the actor,
Right.
and the other one you're playing the director.
And I would add another point to that and say that maybe there's nothing wrong in the beginning to do that, as long as you're aware of what you're doing and also transforming as you go. You know, maybe in the beginning you're like, yeah, I really want to get that chick. Cool. Go there, do your script, do your pickup artistry, etc., if that helps you. But be aware of what it is you're doing, and also be aware of the result you're getting based on playing this type of game.
Yeah, well, you definitely jumped into pickup archery there. Quite not really the angle I was going for in it. But
It's we can talk about that specific thing.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's more, and I agree. I actually agree, because you don't want to be sat in any date situation or any conversation acting a certain way to elicit a response. Like
that's
manipulation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you genuinely, you want to be as interested as possible in the other person, and that's it. But how do you get to the point where you're most interested in the other person? The answer is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
When you are being the best version of you.
Yeah. When you're at a genuinely okay state with yourself. I'm sometimes good. I'm sometimes bad.
Which
I'm
is
okay with
absolutely authentic and real and genuine.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know? And this is funny, because once you are that, your thoughts are not constantly on how am I being perceived anymore.
Yeah, because otherwise this is when you're in your head again, isn't
exactly.
it?
And to think about it, when your thoughts are constantly on how am I being perceived, your attention is on yourself. The more your attention is on yourself, the more you're living in the framework of ego, the I. The less you're able to do, the less you're that, the more you're able to adhere to the outer. The more you're adhering to the other guy. And interestingly enough, this type of this predisposition to always think of how you're perceived, this level of toxic self-awareness, is actually correlated with depression. Depressed people are quite literally thinking about themselves all the time. And so the less you are at ease with who you are, the more you're going to be thinking about yourself. And the more likely you're going to be going into a relationship and kind of like trying to sell yourself, or when I say sell yourself, selling that other person liking you or perceiving you as interesting or attractive.
Yeah.
And funny enough, that typically repels the other person again, because you're placing overimportance on the fact that you want to be something.
Yeah, and I think it's alarm bells, because people notice that. You sense it, don't
It's
you?
ick. For me, that's ick. Yes, exactly that. The more you're just trying and holding on to wanting and desired outcome, that other person liking you, the more you're going to talk a certain way, the more you're going to be less aware of what the other person is doing or how they're reacting, because you're so preoccupied with selling that script or that idea of yourself, you don't even noticing all the other things happening around you. And that other people, all of us, bro, our empathic circuitry is going to light up, and we're going to read all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That despair we're going to read.
Yeah.
Best examples, like we always talk about, is in dating, dude. And we've all done that at some point. Running too much after someone, holding on too much. What does the other person do? And rightfully so, it goes away.
Yeah, because it signals that you're... You need it.
Need your approval.
You know, the least attractive thing, especially for a man, is a needy bloke.
Bro.
You do not want to be that geezer.
Dude, it's kind of sad sometimes, bro.
Yeah.
It's really, really crazy. The fact that you are essentially going all out to convince someone to like you. Someone likes you, you don't need to convince them with rationale. You just have to be someone that is liked. You don't need to tell them, you should be liking me because I do this, I do that, I buy you flowers, I go this. It's like you're trying to use intellect to evoke an emotional state in that other person. Doesn't work. I think also that's why nowadays it's so difficult to date. We spoke about that too, because we're trying to tick off all these boxes, these ideas we have about the other person. So we're using our mind to see if the box is ticked off. Every time we're using our mind, we're trying to like make sense of things. We're suppressing our emotional circuitry. In love, that's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, because love's not a mentally constructed thing. It's a feeling, isn't it? It's an emotional connection.
It's an emotional connection. It's a shared emotional connection, literally, scientifically. Shared emotional connection is correlated with finding love and having a loving relationship. There's a bunch of studies. Doesn't even matter if it's something negative like fear or stress. If the emotion is shared, the likelihood for you to bond with a person emotionally is higher.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of people like going through AA groups and being under distress and sharing that pain together, falling in love. It's the shared emotional reaction, positive or negative.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you actually want to get the chick, make sure you share the emotional connection with that person. Take them on a date and be both afraid. That's going to help you more than falling distress.
Yeah, that's actually probably a good bit of advice. Do something kind of scary together.
Yeah.
Go for a traumatic
Watch a movie
experience.
together that's scary.
Yeah.
But you also have to genuinely be scared. You can't just
I wonder if that's a reason why horror movies seem to like be a thing for people to watch together.
It could be.
Because then you share that kind of
yeah.
terrifying moment together, and then you want to be close to them.
And then you have that physical closeness too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, that.
It is very interesting, actually. I think that applies to all relationships, honestly, not just to love. Like this, the studies that I was talking about, they were specifically in dating. But think about even business connections. Think about friendship. When we go through phases together where we feel a similar emotion, like when we go to on the roller coaster in the park we went to, California, we both share that emotion together. Is a thrill.
Never go on that roller coaster again.
You not?
You know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, that one, bro.
Dude, that one could go fuck
That
itself.
one cooked us, man. Mason was defeated in the corner. He was
Dude, that
literally
was
laying down.
killer, that one. But anyway, yeah, I know.
It was going too much in circles, right? That's what.
It's horrible.
Yeah. But bro, like that type of connection between friends, when you share that emotion together, it adds to the bond you have, the friendship you have.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can build with intellect. The other is feeling.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. So a couple of other situations come to mind on that as well, especially with certain friends that I had experiences with, like even with the shooting in Vegas when we had the 2000 and when was that? 2015 or something? You know, the Vegas Strong thing where the guy was just mowing people down at the country festival.
Yeah.
I had that experience while I was in a restaurant on the strip, but like certain friendships I've seen have become stronger, and people have kind of come through it together because of having that shared experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's totally, absolutely true.
Yeah. One of Alex's friends got kind of like dispositionally depressed because of that and anxious. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah. Imagine
PTSD,
that. Imagine,
bro.
especially if
Yeah.
you're at the event and then you got a trigger at whenever you're in large groups of people or at a festival or an event or it's been just man. But we live. We stay living. Stay
Ripping.
Stay ripping. Stay ripping, baby.
Yeah, bro.
All right, bruv. All right,
Cheers.
Brev. Thank you for the chat.
Likewise. Pleasure.
Always, mate.
Ciao.
Ciao.